We're here today to introduce to our people here at Epworth, Jean McLaughlin, who has moved in recently. And Jean has done a number of things, but she has been at Epworth for a while now, and we're wanting to get to know her. So I'm going to get started with where did you grow up?
I grew up in Austin, Minnesota, so far away from Oklahoma, but it was a good place to grow up. And I have a twin sister. We had a good time in high school. And let's see, then what started our family was my husband was a senior and I was a junior, and he asked me to the prom. And so he was much more interesting than a lot of the other boys around. So anyway, we stayed together, but we married 4 or 5 years later after we had both graduated from college. And I went to the University of Minnesota. He went to McAllister College in St. Paul. Now, when people hear him say McAllister College, they think of the prison, and he always has a good time with that. Anyway, he likes to tell those stories.
Well, I know you moved around quite a lot after you were married, but when you got to Oklahoma City and started your family, I know you did a lot of volunteer work, but can you tell us something a little bit about both of those?
Yes. So we first moved to Des Moines, Iowa, and then Corpus Christi, Texas, which we loved. And then we went to the Washington, D.C. area, but we lived in Maryland. And it's hard not to be interested in government when you're living near Washington, D.C. and the papers and all. So I did end up, I joined the League of Women Voters and it didn't do much, but just went to some meetings there.
Well, I think you did a lot with the League of Women Voters in Oklahoma, weren't you?
Well, yes, so I did. When we moved here, I did continue that. And I did end up being the state president and doing some really interesting and some very hard things to do. And that was because we were considered nonpartisan, the TV stations, when they wanted to do interviews or debates with candidates for statewide office, would want us to be part of it. And there was always a lot of negotiating, and so some candidates don't want to be there and some don't, and anyway. But it was a very interesting time. And we had, did voter registration of thousands of people and put out voter guides, and so it was a very busy time.
Aren't you also interested in helping foster children?
Well, I am on a board for Angels Foster Care, and that's been really interesting. The woman who is the director of that is so insightful of what needs to be done. Jennifer Abney is her name. And in fact, it turns out later that even people at DHS call her and say, what did we need to do to be better here? And of course, sometimes it's money, but and they can't do that. But, they do give stipends to people who are foster parents, which helps. So, so we
done a lot in that area.
With the foster
what about Marion Gardens? What is your connection with
them? I have loved the Marion Gardens since it was practically a hole in the ground, I guess, just because of the idea of a garden in the middle of the city. And so I joined as a member, and then I was on the board. Yeah, and I was president of the board too after Jim Tolbert, if anyone remembers him.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Anyway, so I was president then for a while.
Well, that's a wonderful place.
Place and one of my favorite places. And I'm still on the board, I think.
Okay.
So, yes, I like that. I like to go to the meetings so I can take a tour around the gardens.
Well, tell us a little bit about your children and your growing up and what they are doing and all that good stuff.
Okay, well, we have 4 children. We had 4 children in 7 years, and it worked out just fine. So our oldest is Tim, and well, now 3 of them live here and 1 doesn't, but Tim and his wife Liz live here, and of course he well, maybe, okay, he is doing really interesting things in Oklahoma City, particularly for youth sports. And if any of you, if anyone has heard of Fields and Futures, he and Liz are the ones behind that. And what that was is to build good playing fields for soccer, baseball, football, whatever,
Okay.
At the public schools. And so because there's all these studies that say that kids who really play sports or get involved with athletics do better in school, and they have to attend school so they can play and they get better grades, and they're more likely to enter college anyway and graduate.
He's carrying on the family tradition of volunteering.
Right.
Well, what did your husband do when he was living?
Okay, well, Austin, Minnesota was the home of Hormel, and that became his first job selling for them. Okay. And that's why we moved around quite a bit. And Hormel moved us here. And then after a while, David and a partner, they got promoted and did a little plant, and they got promoted and that. And so finally they had an opportunity to build their own plant in Enid, which had 5 employees, and they decided to do that. So that was, well, we had 4 children under 7 at the time, but it was, I mean, I had no qualms that he would make it successful.
But it was a nerve-wracking time, I'm sure.
but it was good.
Well, that's
wonderful. And so the kids, they all did do something in the company, and a little bit. Now, Tim was the salesperson, the star salesperson, and Beth worked in Mexico because she could speak Spanish, and then Rob, our youngest, was the person who went between the salespeople and the plant people of what production can be made to satisfy the salespeople. And then Amy, our other daughter, she graduated with a nutrition degree, so for a while she worked with nursing homes and various things like that.
Well, that's wonderful. The whole family.
But they're all still very involved in, I think, nonprofit things, and really.
Do you have a family foundation or something?
Well, we do.
Okay.
With the company, which started in about 1970, and then it was sold in 2010 for more money than we thought we would have, I might add. And so what we wanted to do with that was to start a family foundation. That's what we do, and the idea, and what our motto is, or our
your goal?
Yeah, our goals are to help Oklahoma City children be the best that they can be in their family, and so that means a number of things that we support, like foster children and the care center that supports abused children, and a number of things like that. And also for mental health, my daughter Amy is very involved in working with with that organization, and it has to do with helping kids with trauma. And of course, anyone who's in a foster home, or there's so many kids that have had trauma, that but it's a way of talking with them and helping them to understand what's going on, and so that's.
Now that's a wonderful goal to
Yeah,
help
and
children.
that's really, it's really growing too, and even it's in the high schools, and teachers often get some training in it, so they have some idea of what's going on.
Well, I know that you have been here for a while, but then you were out for a while because of some surgery. Have you enjoyed Epworth so far and the experience here?
Oh yes, I think I made the right decision. I'm glad I did, and I like my apartment. I like the people I've met. I look forward to even doing a few more activities when my knee gets a little better.
Yeah, but I'm sure you will, being the kind of person you are, and I think everyone is going to be very, very interested in meeting you, and you may have more jobs than you really thought you ever would. But you're up to it, I can tell.
Okay. All right.
Was there anything else that you'd like to share with us, or?
Well, and my children have been just wonderful, all four of them, when I moving here, and the girls all helped plan what it's going to look like, and we picked out the colors and decided what furniture to take, and then the two girls hung pictures. I mean, they were climbing up on ladders all over and doing the pictures, and then I did have this knee revision surgery, which is a little complicated, and so they've been extra helpful with that, and bringing me food or whatever, and just coming to be with me when I was in the hospital and such. So, but they're wonderful kids, and everyone really enjoys being together. And we have these 9 grandchildren who also love being together, and their age and ranges. Well, the youngest is a junior in high school, and the oldest is about 28. But they all, and the 28-year-old one is a wonderful leader. So even for the foundation, they're interested in that, and they do some work with that.
And where does Beth live? Where is Beth?
Beth, she lives in Telluride.
Oh, okay.
And she did have an art gallery there, but she sold it, and now she's chairman of a wonderful art school there. And so she stays in the art world pretty good.
That's wonderful.
Right, and it's a beautiful area. So.
Yeah, but a great place to go visit.
Oh, it's a great place to visit, yes.
Okay, well, Jean, thank you so much. You've been delightful, and I know everybody will be very interested in watching and getting to know you.
Okay,
so, but,
well, thank you
for joining us.
I'm glad you're my neighbor right across the hall.
Okay, me too.
So thank you, Catherine.
All right.